I thank him for doing all that. But if you need any kind of groceries, if you're looking for spaghetti, Lenten spaghetti without meat on Fridays, or he can help you out with whatever you're looking for. They got 7 days a week. The deli's open. They do fish and that type of thing on Wednesdays and Fridays during Lent. All week long, all kind of good food. You can get just a salad with no meat on those Lent days, or salads with meat the other days. All kind of great meat, all kind of great seafood to cook. Wine and beer selection, Miss Mary's gift shop, and Little Benny's Sports Shack for your nutritional supplemental needs. That's Benny's Supermarket here in Opelousas. And Carl's Thrifty Way, if you're going by to get yourself some medicine, Carl's Thrifty Way is your place. They can help with your prescriptions. They can help with over-the-counter type medication. Welcome back, KSLO.
Compounding.
The compound multiple
We haven't mentioned that lately.
together. That's right. Where if you're taking 2 different medicines, maybe 2 liquids or 2 powders, they can mix it up together and make it much easier for you to take, so you don't have to. One of my friends, I kid him that it looks like he's got a tackle box. He got a thing this big, and he's pulling out all these little compartments. I got to take this one today, that one, this one, that one, this one.
I don't have mine in compartments, but I'm about it.
But they can compound multiple ones together, make it much easier for you to take. Ask the pharmacist there at Carl's, and don't forget about them for gifts, home decorating ideas. They'll even go to your house to help you with home decorating. That's Carl's Thrifty Way.
Okay, last week, you and I were someplace, and a gentleman walked up to us, and he says, Mr. Bobby, and then he looked at you, he says, Andrew? I said, yeah, and I said, you know us? Oh, I watch y'all every week on the TV program, Mr. Thomas. You remember Mr. Thomas?
Sure.
Good morning to you, Mr. Thomas. And that night, Friday night, went over to Union Street Car Wash, the Car Wash Plaza.
Right.
And a gentleman there, I asked him if they took $20 bills in the oil. He said, you're going to have to go next door and get change and all that. Well, we worked it up. We had a Visa card. It also accepts Visa, Discovery, those kind of cards. And so he kept looking in. He says, you Bobby, right? I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, well, I just want you to know, really enjoy your program every week. And of course, I'm talking about, I'll get it right here. I've got it. Oh, Charles Jerry, I'm sorry. I got it written bigger than hell right there. At the car wash, he was helping out. He works there part-time. He's also been a long-time school bus driver for St. Landry Parish School System. And I might add that very friendly person. So we had 3 people just in a short period of few hours, Mr. A.J., Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Jerry,
but you didn't
all mentioned that they watched the Bobby Dupre show.
You didn't see Earl Pete.
Well, I have a note right here. Earl Pete is basically the daytime manager, and he's usually there during the daytime.
Early, too.
And it helps because he keeps an eye that the machines are working correctly, and he helps people, particularly the first time as they go there, to make it simple. It's really simple once you get used to using it, but like most new high tech, because Visa cards, cash, probably takes change, I'm sure it does, whatever, it'll take your money. But I like that $10 super duper, I call it, even waxes your car and puts a beautiful wax on your windshield that just light rain like that, it just ripples off, kind of like Rain-X. We used to use Rain-X when we rode motorcycle windshield.
They still sell all that? You can still get that.
Still get
Some people
Rain-X.
put that on their car windows, and that holds up for a long time.
Long time.
But Mr. Earl, I leave my house some mornings to get to work, especially on a day like today with the show. I try to leave the house by 5 if I can help it. When I pull out a Grooley, 9 times out of 10, I got to wait, let Mr. Earl go by me. If it's 5 o'clock sharp, Mr. Earl is right there in that white Ford pickup.
Oh, he's going to get that money out of the machine.
Well, you got to make sure.
That's somebody. Good morning, Earl. How you do, Shad? By the way, last week when I showed a picture of Troy...
Young?
No, not Troy Young. Troy Hebert.
Troy Hebert.
Troy Hebert. I couldn't remember who was with him, and of course I remembered Alcindor, but I couldn't think of Bruce. Good morning, Bruce. Sorry about that, young man. As soon as the program ended, I thought about it, and that reminds me, as soon as our program ended last week, I learned that Bruce Boudreau had died. You remember
we asked everybody to keep Bruce in their prayers, and as we signed off the show, we found out that Bruce had passed away during our filming.
Ebert Benoit, his step-father-in-law, gave me a call, and he was pretty in tears,
yeah.
shook up. They were expecting it, but you never want it to occur. And of course, Bruce has a young family, and he was only age 54. So we lost a good man. The Daily World really did a beautiful job. Bruce Boudreau dies, served on both the former police jury and the new parish council, and nothing but nice
and
comments.
Even after he had been defeated in that district, he showed up for every meeting still to try to help people in the district, to bring up points about things that were going on. I'll tell you one other thing. People might not remember. The first time he got elected, he got in some trouble because he had gone to the parish yard, had gotten some what they call that black gold. You remember that? He put some black gold in his pickup with a shovel and was fixing holes. And they said, well, you can't do it that way. You have to have the employees. He says, look, if there's a problem with a hole, I'm going to fix the hole. So, I mean, just showed you what kind of guy, good guy.
Good stories about Big Bruce.
Yep, that's right.
And, of course, another person who died a few days ago was Miss Nita Baudelaire. And, of course, her late husband was Mr. J.Y. Baudelaire, and Mr. J.Y. was one of the owners of Baudelaire Motors for many years prior to his death, of course, along with, and I guess it was his brother, Mr. Martin Baudelaire. And Mr. Martin died also years ago. Miss Nita is survived by her son Richard Baudelaire and his wife Frances, and Frances Duhon was raised on King Street, a block away from where I was raised, and Dr. J.Y. Baudelaire, who lives right near where I live now, and his wife Kathy, and then Anne Baudelaire Vaillant and her husband Warner Vaillant from Eunice. They survived Miss Nita, and I might add that the Baudelaires, they also had Baudelaire Chevrolet, the same family.
Correct.
And then they had Baudelaire Etzel and Hudson.
That predates me.
That's right. You know where Dixie Glass is now? They were located in that area right there at one time. I'm not sure if that was the only place, but they were located at that location.
And Baudelaire Chevrolet was right across the street from the home. And the Baudelaire home was all right there.
That's correct, on the corner there. And of course today it's Beau's Garage.
Correct.
Has a restaurant and a night dancing place. And good morning to you, Mr. Beau and group over there.
You look
but
good.
Just wanted to pass that on. Today, the Baudelaire Motors has finally sold after they had it over 100 years in the family. It was one of the oldest Ford franchises in Louisiana. And now Mr. Art LeBlanc, the owner of Sterling Motors, has purchased it and is operating out of that same facility, at least for the time being. I don't know more than that. But they're operating there. And of course, Robert Cook is the general manager now of 3 of their facilities. Art owns 3 in Opelousas. He owns the Baudelaire Motors. He owns what was DC Motors, which is the GMC and Buick. And then he owns Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep across the highway. Sterling Motors there.
A lot of products.
a lot of products. And how you say that? Time marches on.
Time marches on.
But the Baudelaire family provided a good living for a whole lot of people. And I still, when I walk into Beau's, I glance at that room where I purchased my first 1957 Chevy 2-door hardtop, I had a 4-barrel carburetor on it. It had overdrive on it. No air conditioning. Now that wasn't available. I don't think it was out yet. And it was a beautiful little car, and I had copied it identical to the late Foster Ross in Church Point, Louisiana one night when I was working for Mud Supply Company.
Black with gray interior.
Black and gray interior. You're right. You tell that story. Because Mr. Blackie Dolman didn't want to sell it to me that way. He wanted me to buy the red and the black. He said, that's what's going. I said, well, I saw one in Church Point, and I want one just like it. But he said, it's going to take 6 weeks to get that car in. I could get you the other one right now, just like you want, except it's going to be different color inside. I said, Mr. Blackie, I'm almost 21 years old. I've been working since a little kid, saving those dollars.
I got the money. I know what I want.
But that came later. He asked me, he says, when's Mr. Cornelius going to come and sign for this? Oh, I said, Mr. Cornelius is not coming to sign. Well, who's going to pay for that? I said, I'm going to pay for it. Hey, you're in college, boy. How you going to pay for that? I'm serious. That's the kind of conversation, because we knew each other real well. And I said, the money is at the St. Leonard Homestead, and that was right around the corner on Bellevue at that time.
Can bring it in the wheelbarrow if you had to.
He says, you sound like you're serious. I said, yes, sir. Don't call Cornelius and ask him to come do that, because he's going to chew me out. Because I had opened an account at Abdallah's with that white sport jacket to go to New Orleans. You heard that? You know that story. Oh, but anyhow, time marches on.
We're talking about marching and running. The Acadiana Runners Ball is going to happen with the 5K 1 mile fun run March 31st. That's the St. Leonard Parish Veterans Memorial Committee helping to sponsor it. LHC Group, of course, is a huge sponsor behind it as well. It costs you $30 to run. You can go by. Horace Strahan, the Ocean Express, is going to be playing at the Evangeline Downs Casino Event Center as well. You can give a holler to the Myers family, 945-9159, or Miss Pat Mason-Gilroy, 948-3657. All your proceeds are going to go to help build that beautiful new memorial facility over on Highway 182.
Yes, sir. And I saw them on TV early this morning advertising that particular event, and I hope it's a successful one. There was an anniversary celebration just recently, and the celebration was 50 years of happiness in marriage. And we're speaking of Russell and Aline Kidder of Orneville.
There you go.
Now, we don't talk about these very often, but Miss Aline sells advertising for the station
KDCG.
here. She's,
That's right.
I think, maybe not active today, but as soon as she's well, I think she's having maybe a little procedure, and as soon as she's well, don't worry, she'll be knocking on your door to get that business.
Folks, we got to go to radio and TV
Congratulations.
break. We're going to see all of you on the other side of 3.